Anyway, yeah, they made us wait for 30 minutes after everybody else.
Dad!
Dude, I am trying to have a conversation with your uncle right now. I need you to wait. If this has ever been you, or you think it could be you in the future, this is the video for you. Here's 6 tips for teaching your kids to wait. One, let's get this out of the way. It's really important to understand where your child is at developmentally. Waiting is a skill that doesn't usually come about until like 3 or 4. So if you're expecting your 2-year-old to be able to wait and do very well with this skill, then your expectation is beyond their developmental level. And that's going to just lead to a lot of frustration on your part and your child's part. Getting mad at your 2-year-old for interrupting you is going to be kind of like getting mad at your 1-year-old for not being able to walk yet. That doesn't mean that we can't start introducing the skill. It's just really important for us to be able to manage our expectations on when they're going to start picking it up. Also, just because they're 3 or 4 and they're starting to develop the skill, the important word to focus on there is starting to develop the skill. So a 3-year-old might start to work with you on this and they might get it right a couple times, but understanding that they're still probably going to have problems with it 8 out of 10 of the times. It's going to be a work in progress, but everything that we do in the following steps is going to help to steepen that learning curve. Start small. Kids learn much better when we focus on the positives, the things that they're doing well. And sometimes in order to make that happen, we have to focus on the smallest things. That means as we start applying these other skills and we start focusing on when kids are actually able to wait and give us a second before they interrupt us, then we need to make sure that we focus on that. That might mean that while you're having your conversation with somebody and your kid tries to interrupt you and you say, hey, wait for a second, and they actually wait, even if it's only for a second, you focus on that moment while they're waiting. So if you're having the conversation and your kid interrupts you, it might look like this. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, buddy, I need you to wait 1 second and then I'll be able to hear what you have to say. And then you start talking to them again and you say, all right, I need to hear what they have to say. Thank you so much for waiting. What was it that you wanted to say? Yes, it means that you're going to have to jump around in conversations quite a bit, at least early on. We're going to build to where they can wait longer, but we do need to start small so that kids get a chance to be successful, and then we can build on those successes. When waiting becomes never, this is something that every one of us is guilty of. We say, hey, hold on a second, and then we get caught up in all of our daily tasks and we forget to actually ask them what it was that they wanted to tell us. So what that does is it teaches kids that if they don't get that thought out in that moment, then it may never happen. So we might have to consciously make an effort to start actually paying attention to that and making sure that we're going back to them and saying, hey, what was it? Even if they forgot, it's important for us to go back to it. Write a note on your hand, write a note on a piece of paper, try and get that mental note just so that you're able to go back to them. Being consistent with that teaches kids that as if they do wait, they are still going to be able to ask. And the more we do that, the more it reinforces it. It also gives us more chances to do what we were talking about in step 1, which is praising when they're actually able to wait. This is the only time you're actually talking to them about interrupting you at the moments when they are in the act of interrupting you. In the moment, oftentimes we're frustrated, we're being pulled in 2 directions, so it's really hard to teach the lesson in that second. So what you need to do is make sure that the first time that they ever hear about interrupting, or the only time that they only hear about it, are not the times when they're actually doing it and all the emotions are a little bit higher. Try and talk to them and teach them what interrupting is when you're playing with them at calm moments. Say, this is what interrupting means, and this is what we need to do instead. The more we can educate them about what it is, the better chances they are going to be able to do well in that moment. In step 5, which is an add-on to our previous step, is make sure you're practicing this frequently with your kids. Now that might be that when you have this conversation about what interrupting is, you're like, all right, let's practice. So I'm going to be you and you're going to be me. So you might give them a phone. Here, I have a phone right up here. You might give them a phone. You say, you pretend like you're talking to your best friend and I'm going to interrupt you and you have to tell me to wait, okay? So then I give them the phone and they start to pretend and I'm like, hey, 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 hey. And they're like, I need you to wait. And you say, okay, all right, I'll wait, I'm waiting, it's so hard to wait, and you talk it out loud. This way your kid gets to see what it might look like when they do wait. And then you switch roles. It's really important that your kid gets to practice it. Make sure you do this as playful and fun as you can, because if it's just this boring lesson plan, your kid's gonna lose interest, you're not gonna get anything out of it. Also, it doesn't have to be as contrived as that. So if you are sitting down and you're playing with your kid, and for example, I do this all the time when I'm in therapy with kids, they're playing in my sandbox and I might find the toy that I know that they're absolutely going to love. So I'll grab that toy that I think that they're going to absolutely love or want to play with and try and grab from me. And when they do that, I'm going to say, oh, I need you to wait. Can you ask for your turn? Now, in the moment, they get to practice that skill. You can also do the reverse of that. So if they're playing with the toy, no matter what it is, you can say, hey, can I have a turn? And now sometimes they're just going to give it to you. But if they don't, then you can say, okay, I'm going to practice waiting. I'll find something else to do. And you model how to do that. Number 6, and this is probably one of the most important things that we can do. And this is going to be something that I talk about in many videos because it's just a skill that really helps. And that is talking about the skill in your daily life. For example, if you're on your way to the doctor's office and you're stuck in traffic, you might be talking about how frustrating it is to have to wait in this line while you need to get somewhere and how frustrated and urgent it feels, and you're just talking through that process. You say, oh man, this is so hard. I really want to get there, and it's so hard to have to wait in this long line of cars. And you take deep breaths and you model managing those emotions. By doing that, you're not just teaching them and trying to give them a lesson, they're getting to watch you use that skill. And kids learn so much more from what they see you doing than what you will ever tell them. And that's it. You're going to have to do this consistently and keep working with them, and eventually they'll start picking it up. So which one of these tips do you feel is going to help you the most? Also, let me know in the comments the subject you'd like me to cover next. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much.